Hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Reviews. Today we are back at it with another new release. Now this is technically not a new release, considering the fact that it did come out worldwide in theaters about 2 weeks ago. But it is finally available on streaming on Apple TV Plus, which I have, and so I was able to get access to that today. If you guys are interested, it is on that. I think you can also rent it from other streaming services if I'm correct, which I may or may not be. I think you can probably rent it from the streaming services now. No, they didn't get a huge box office because it is in theaters and people can't really get to theaters. But I think they'll have more people watching it today and over the weekend. And I was excited to watch it because I love Tom Holland, and I'm really excited today to talk about Cherry. Cherry was released in 2021. It was written by Angelo Russo, Ostrat, and Jessica Goldberg, and it was directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, whom, if you guys remember, directed like 4 Marvel movies, and honestly 4 of the best Marvel movies. And so I was really excited to see them coming back and you know, doing more stuff, particularly with Marvel stars. They've been doing that a lot. You know, they did it with that Bridges movie. I think it was like 21 Bridges with Chadwick Boseman, and they did this now with Tom Holland. And so they're really borrowing the same actors, which Joe and Anthony Russo are known to do since their time on Community. So this movie, and again, this is going to be a non-spoiler review. As always, with my newer videos, it is a new thing that I'm doing due to a recent comment, so thank you for reaching out. They will be non-spoilery. All my reviews that I have filmed from now on are going to be non-spoilery. So I hope you guys enjoy that. So the Cherry follows, and it is, all right. So first of all, it is a book, and I have not read the book. I'm thinking about reading it, and I might do a video comparing the two. If you guys want that, let me know, and I'll buy the book, because I'm thinking about reading the book anyway. So we'll see. And essentially, what happens is there is a boy. We don't know the name of the lead character, which is kind of on purpose, I suppose. And it follows him as he, you know, meets a girl and then goes to war, comes back from war, has PTSD, and then develops a drug addiction. None of that, by the way, is spoilery. That is what you know from the trailer. But what you see is what you get. That is exactly what this movie is. Nothing more, nothing less. It is a movie about PTSD and drugs and the epidemic of drugs. And I'm excited to talk about how it relates to the film and the way that it interconnects itself and whether or not that was for the good or for the bad. So, in terms of my overall thoughts after watching the film, I literally just finished watching it like a few minutes ago. First of all, wow, it's long. It is long. And I mean, like, it's really long. It's like 2.5 hours long. And this movie did not need to be 2.5 hours long. Here are some things that I would change to fix the runtime that would not change the narrative. If anything, maybe it would make the narrative better. For starters, the war scenes. So, as you guys have known, because it's in the trailer and it's in the description of the movie, he goes to war. Now, these war scenes are not, in my opinion, vital to the overall meaning of the film. They don't really come up a whole lot after the fact that they're like, oh, well, now he has PTSD. And he's in war for, like, I don't know, a good half an hour to 45 minutes of the film. And while it does help us see a lot more of Tom Holland's character and all of that stuff, I don't think it was necessary to the essential plot of the film. It didn't seem extremely important that he went to war, besides the fact that he got PTSD from it. We could have had a brief montage of him at war, and then moved on to the more important thing about this, which is the drug epidemic, which, can I mention that like 90% of the recent movies that have come out are about the drug epidemic? What is this about? I mean, we had Crisis, Body Brokers, Silk Road, and now Cherry, all about drugs in the past 3 months, and arguably within the past 2 months, because these are recent movies. And I'm like, what is this about? Why is everyone doing this? I want to see a comedy, please. Which, by the way, there is a comedy technically out today. I will not be watching any other new releases today, mainly because I have a lot of homework to do. If I feel like it, I might watch Yes Day, which is on Netflix. I might watch that this weekend or something, but I don't anticipate watching it. Not because I'm not looking forward to it, just because I'm tired and I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night and I have homework to do. But in terms of the war scenes, I think they were well done. I think that they had some good gore and some good stuff, but overall I don't think it was necessary to the plot. I think to a certain extent it almost felt like a distraction. Because again, while it did help the overall feeling of the film, and of course with Tom Holland's character, it was long and honestly almost unnecessary because we could have just mentioned it and moved on. One thing that I also would have changed in terms of runtime is we have a lot of drug scenes, like a lot of them. And while I like drug scenes, I think it helps. We kind of get the point that they're both addicts pretty early on. It's in the description that like they become addicts. So it's like I wish we could have, eased off on that and explored the impacts of it, because we didn't really see a whole lot of impacts. There was a brief emergency scene, which I won't go into because it's spoilery. That was really nice and interesting, and then it kind of moved away, and it was like, okay, well, that was dumb. Another thing I would change about this movie is the ending. I'm not going to talk about what the ending is, but I will say there are two technically endings. It's based like a book, right, where we have, part 1, part 2, part 3, an epilogue, and a prologue, and the last part ends on a really good, not a very good note, but a very good note in terms of filmmaking. I think it was really well done. I like the meaning was really good there, and I really liked it a lot. And then they went ahead and did the epilogue, and I hated the epilogue with a passion. I really hate it. Honestly, I wish I didn't watch the epilogue because I just didn't like it. Not that it wasn't well done. It kind of reversed the things that the other part did. One thing that the Russo brothers do here that I don't really care for also is the narration. So there's a lot of narration in this film, which I liked. I think they did the narration well, where Tom Holland narrates a lot of the film, but because it's based on a book, and we kind of understand that it is from his point of view in the book, and so we would have these times where he would speak over the narration and all that stuff. But there were parts where he would break the fourth wall, right, where he would be in the middle of the scene where he's in the war or whatever, and he'd turn to us and be like, I was really sad at this part, and then he would go back, and it was like, I don't really think that was necessary to the plot at all, literally at all. I thought it was at first, but I was like, oh, it's so cool, because when he's high or whatever, we can kind of hear him and see him kind of see the cameras. But then they just did it 3 times at random times that had nothing to correlate with the film, as far as I could tell. They could have done that really strategically and made it a really good part of the film, but instead they didn't, and it was a distraction, and I didn't like it literally at all. I like the narration. I don't think we needed the fourth wall breaks. That was not fun. In terms of the overall aesthetic, I did like the film. It was entertaining for the entire 2.5 hours. I had a good time watching it, and I may watch it again in the future. The tone was really good. That is one thing that I will say about this film. The tone never drops. It never changes. It's always, I guess from the beginning to the end it kind of changes, but the tone is really nice. It's a good tone for a drug epidemic movie. I think in terms of tone, it's the best drug epidemic movie we've seen so far. It's definitely not the best drug epidemic movie we've seen so far, but it is the best in terms of tone and keeping that tone solid and consistent throughout the film. I think they did really well with that. And again, I liked it. What's weird about it is I see all these problems with it, but overall I had a good time watching. I think audiences in general, they're going to eat this movie up. They're going to be like, yes, this movie's really good. But in terms of a critic standpoint, I just didn't think it was very well done, especially considering all the stuff we've seen from the Russos and even from Tom Holland at this point. Although I will say that Tom Holland was the highlight of this film. Let's just get into that. Let's talk about the acting. First of all, Tom Holland as, quote, Cherry. We don't know his name. It's never mentioned. But we're supposed to call him or think of him as Cherry, I guess. It's kind of weird. Tom Holland was really good in this. First of all, I like that he's branching out of Marvel and Spider-Man and stuff like that. As much as I love seeing with Spider-Man, and I'm excited for No Way Home, I do think it is important for actors like that to branch out into different genres and really become, an actor instead of Spider-Man. And this is the first one with Tom Holland in it in a while that I've seen where it's like, oh, he's not Spider-Man here. What comes to mind is The Devil All the Time, where I think he was really good, but there were instances where like, whoa, that's Spider-Man, and there were no instances of that, which was great. I haven't seen Chaos Walking yet because it is not available for streaming, and I don't have a theater nearby. Once I have access to that, I will watch it, and there will be a review for it. Even if it's in the middle of the week, I'm going to watch it because I'm excited about it, because I love Tom Holland. And Tom Holland was able to share so many emotional experiences with us throughout this film, and his acting is really quite superb. I really liked him in this. If you watch this movie just for Tom Holland, that's fine. That is why I watched the movie, besides the fact that I run a review channel. I was excited about the movie because of Tom Holland, not about the subject, which is kind of a problem, sort of, in terms of general audience people liking the film for it being a film, but I liked this movie because Tom Holland was really, really good, and in almost every scene, it's easy to get lost in his character, which is great. Ciara Bravo as Emily. First of all, I know that she's like, 23 probably. She still looks incredibly young. She looks way too young to be working with, a movie where she's supposed to be an adult here. I think she looks like 15. And Tom Holland, if anything, looks older than normal with his shorter hair and his deeper voice and his American voice. So it didn't work for me. The relationship did not really work for me. But she's his girlfriend, essentially. And she also becomes a drug user, which is in the trailer, so you know that. I didn't really care for her character very much, particularly because I just think Tom Holland's character was way more interesting, and it made her kind of cast into the shadows. There were instances where we got these really cool parts with her in it, and it was like, ooh, she's here, and then she'd just kind of be like, and then it didn't matter anymore. It was interesting. This movie could have been really good, and it's not her fault. I mean, she was fine. I think overall, the movie could have been really good, and I just wish that there was more of a narrative movie about drugs and how it affects them instead of a movie about a person who is addicted to drugs. I didn't even mention the bank robberies, which is a very important part of the trailer. He does that a lot. That's how he gets his money. It's really not integral to the story, sort of, kind of. It is, but it depends on what you're getting out of the story, which for me, I'm trying to get, a drug epidemic movie out of it. And this was, it was trying to introduce a little bit more of a crime aspect of the film. And while I think it was good and it was well shot, it didn't really hit it for me. One thing you do want to be looking out for, every time he goes into a bank, look at the bank's name. I promise you it's worth it. It's really fun. I had a good time. Every time I go into the bank, I'd be like, what's it called? I didn't even realize. The first bank he went into, I was like, just like, oh, it's a bank. And I was like, oh my god, the name is hilarious. Make sure you guys look at that. That's really funny. Overall, it's watchable. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I think there are a lot of negative things about the film that could have been better. But in terms of general audiences, they're going to eat this up. It's a great movie with Tom Holland in it. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give this movie a B. I like a B is a little bit higher than I think I actually think. I might even give it a B minus. Maybe even a C or C plus if Tom Holland wasn't so good. And Tom Holland basically convinced me that this movie was good because he is very good in this movie. And I really liked it and I had a great time watching it. So make sure you guys go check out Cherry on Apple TV+. I think it is also available on release for streaming and other platforms, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. You might be able to rent it from like Fandango now or whatever. This will be my last and only new release today because I'm tired and I have homework to do. One quick notice. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yes. There are other movies that are out today. Make sure you guys go check them out. Like Yesterday came out on Netflix. I won't have time to watch it today, unfortunately. Next week, in terms of new releases, I don't know. Next week, oh yeah, Falcon Winter Soldier starts. Duh. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent and The Courier should also be out. If I have access to them, if they are streaming, I will review them. If I don't, unfortunately, I will not be able to. We will see. Also, the new Marvel, I think it's called Marvel Assembled, is now available on Disney+, which is a movie, documentary, essentially, of behind the scenes of different Marvel stuff, starting, of course, with WandaVision, and then with Falcon Winter Soldier when that gets out. It is an hour long, which I thought it was going to be like 20 minutes. It's not. It's an hour long documentary series, essentially. I'm not going to review it because it's basically a documentary behind the scenes stuff, but it's fun. I had a good time watching it this morning, so if you guys are interested in WandaVision or whatever, go ahead and check that out. But I think that's gonna do it for me today. Looking forward to this weekend. We got some review. Well, actually, starting this weekend, we got some Robert's Thoughts episodes that are really, really cool and really interesting. In my opinion, I had a great time filming them and researching about them. So make sure you guys go check that out. And please consider subscribing because we're almost at 100, and it'd be really cool if we hit 100 a day. And as always, keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.